Welcome to Section 4 of the IDEA Workbook, Inventory Analysis. We will cover the risks associated with inventory that can be addressed by computer-assisted audit procedures and what tests can help address those risks. Potential risks include inventory not correctly being recorded, inventory management reports having inadequate supporting information, quantity of inventory not maintained within the specified range, obsolete inventory items not identified, differences between the physical inventory and the inventory on the system are not identified, items are not recorded in the correct period, and gaps in sequentially numbered documents that are not accounted for. Potential tests we will cover include mechanical accuracy and valuation, such as totaling the file, analysis, such as age inventory by date of receipt, exception testing for identifying and totaling inventory held in excess, gaps and duplicates to test for missing inventory ticket numbers, and matching and comparison tests to compare files at two dates to identify new or deleted inventory lines. The data we will use for this exercise includes inventory on hand at December 31st, 2015. The formatting for the data is explained on page 188. The audit program is on page 189, and we will begin on page 190. First, we will begin with the project setup by creating a project and entering the project properties. So to create a new project, from the Home tab in the Projects group, click Create. Then select Manage Project and enter Inventory Audit as the directory name, and this will create a new folder. C/users/user ID /documents/my idea documents /idea projects /inventory audit. Click OK, and Inventory Audit will become the project. From the Home tab in the Projects group, click Properties. The Project Properties dialog box appears. Enter the following: report name, Inventory Audit, report period, January 1, 2015 to December 31, 2015. The following data files have been provided on the CD supplied with the workbook: inventory 2015.asc, click OK. Next, we will import the data file for testing. First, we'll find our supplied data files. We'll copy the file and place it within the new folder that we created with the project. We can minimize that. From the Home tab in the Import group, click Desktop. Select text from the list, click the Browse button, and Select File dialog box will be displayed. Navigate to and select the Inventory 2015.asc file from the Project Import folder. Click Open and then click Next. The Import Assistant file type screen is displayed. Ensure Delimited is selected as the correct file type. Click Next. The Import Assistant will try to determine the field separators and text encapsulators. Accept the defaults and click Next to proceed. Next, we'll click on each field heading in turn, and using the record definition, define the field details as explained on page 194 of the IDEA version 10 workbook. So as we go through, being sure to enter the field name, note the decimals and the type of field as well. Clicking Next in between each field. We'll enter total cost for the fifth field, making sure that it's numeric. Click Next. The sixth field will be obsolete. We'll note that as a character field. The 7th will be the max field as a numeric type. The 8th, minimum, also numeric. Last delivery quantity, numeric. Order number. Click Next. Delivery date. This will be a date field. We will enter a date mask in the format YYYYMMDD. Click Next. Current selling price, numeric type, 2 decimals. Current effective date. This will also be a date type. And we will give it a date mask of YY, YY, MM, and DD. Next will be the previous selling price. Numeric type with 2 decimals. Usage. Finally, previous cost. Click Next after we have completed all the fields. No fields will be added, and no criteria will be entered. Click Next. We'll select the Generate Field Statistics option and enter inventory at December 31, 2015 in the database name box. Click Finish to import the file into IDEA. Next, we'll click the Control Total link in the Properties window and select the Total Cost field and then click OK. The control total was $626,963.915 will appear beside the control total link in the Properties window. There are 767 records, as can be seen on the status bar at the bottom of the screen. You're now ready to verify that the data has been imported correctly and to commence testing. Next, we'll verify the database has been imported correctly by checking for agreeing totals, getting a general understanding of the ranges of the values, and highlighting potential areas of weakness. We'll click Field Statistics in the Properties window and study the field statistics for all numeric fields, especially the quantity and total cost fields. Check your results against the figures on page 199. And then we will return to the database by clicking the data link in the Properties window. The file has been imported correctly and the client's reports reconcile correctly. However, there are some negative items and we should identify these. Next, we will identify obsolete inventory items by checking the client's calculation of the obsolescence report, identifying obsolete inventory and calculating potential provisions, and identifying any items with negative quantities or costs. So we'll click the Field Statistics link in the Properties window. In the Field Type box, select Date. Notice the earliest date, latest date, number of 0 items. You can check your results against the figures on page 202. Then we'll return to viewing the database by clicking the data link in the Properties window. From the Analysis tab in the Extract group, click Direct. We'll change the file name to Obsolete Inventory Items. To enter the equation, click the Equation Editor button. We'll enter the expression obsolete equals y in quotes by double-clicking the field name, clicking the equals button, clicking the quotes button, and typing the letter y. We'll validate and exit, but do not run the extraction. We'll click on the next row in the spreadsheet area of the Direct Extraction dialog box and enter the file name negative quantities. We'll click the equation editor and enter the following equation: quantity is less than 0, by inserting the quantity into the equation by double-clicking the name, typing the less than symbol, type in 0, click the validate and exit button, but do not run the extractions. Next, we'll enter a third extraction, negative cost items. We'll click on the equation editor button, and we'll enter the equation as follows: double-click total cost, double-click the less than button, and the number 0. Then, click OK to run all three extractions with a single pass. There should be 34 items totaling $7,644.27. We will open the negative cost items database from the File Explorer, and it should contain 3 items totaling negative $97.85. We will also open and inspect the negative quantities database, where there will be 3 items totaling negative $30.85. And this would mathematically report all the footing in the items flagged as obsolete. We can simply right-click and close all. Next, we will open inventory at December 31, 2015 as the active database. We'll double-click over the database window to open the field manipulation dialog. On the field manipulation dialog box, click Append and enter the following details: field name months, field type virtual numeric, field length do not enter, decimals 2, and the description months of inventory on hand. Next, we'll click in the parameter cell to load the equation editor and enter the following: at IF usage equals 0, comma, at age, quote, 2015 12/31, comma, delivery dated field slash 30, comma, quantity slash usage slash 12, and in the brackets. You can find the equation on page 205 of the IDEA version 10 workbook. Now, in the equation, the inventory usage is 0, then the number of months of inventory is calculated as the number of months since the last delivery date. And if there has been usage, then the months of inventory on hand is calculated as a ratio of the quantity on hand to the monthly usage. This is a complex equation that may be used again or require editing, so it will be saved. We'll go ahead and validate that equation. Click OK. And before we validate and exit, let's go ahead and save that. Click the Save Equation button. And we'll enter the file name months of inventory on hand. All equations are saved with the .eqx file name extension. Next, we'll validate and exit. And we'll click OK. And then yes to append the field to the database. You can view the resultant field by scrolling to the right of the display. The new field is added to the end of the database. Note the teal color of this field indicating that it is a calculated field and not an original imported field. To view the equations that have been saved, you can click on the Library tab in the bottom left-hand side. It'll contain a list of all the directories in which IDEA stores the different files. By clicking Equations, you can see the equations that were saved. And click File Explorer to return. Any of these can be copied over for future use. Next, we'll generate the field statistics for the months field. Click on the Field Statistics link in the Properties window. Notice the average value, minimum value, and maximum value. There are negative values in the minimum value field. Then we can return to viewing the database by clicking on the data link in the Properties window. Next, we'll stratify the inventory into bands. Ensure that inventory at December 31, 2015 is the active database. And from the Analysis tab in the Categorize group, click Stratification. Select months in both the Field to Stratify and Fields to Total on list boxes. Click on the Increment text box and enter 6. Click on the first row of the spreadsheet area. The lower limit box will automatically fill with the lowest value in the field. Double-click on the lower limit box in the first row. The value will be highlighted so you can type over it to change it. Then change the value to 0. We'll select the Create Database option, select the Include Stratum Intervals option, and change the file name to Inventory Usage Aging. Click the fields and select only prod code, depot, total cost, and months. Then click OK in the Fields dialog box. Click OK in the Stratification dialog box. And then note the number of records in each stratum and also that there are upper limit exceptions, or items with greater than or equal to 36 months inventory in hand. View the items with greater than or equal to 36 months inventory in hand by double-clicking over the upper limit exceptions results and selecting Display Records. Once you have inspected the records, click Done to return to the results output. The next step is to create and print a report of the stratification results, including a graph. We will skip printing the report, but we will make the graph. Once you've seen the records, go ahead and click Done. And on the Stratification Results Output toolbar, click the Chart Data icon on the Results toolbar and select the 3D/2D button on the Chart toolbar. You can return to viewing the stratification analysis by clicking the Chart Data icon, and return to viewing the database by clicking on the data link of the Properties window. Open the Inventory Usage Aging database created as part of this exercise. View this database and note the 3 additional fields added to the database: Stratum, Strat Low, and Strat High. The last 2 fields were added as a result of including the stratum intervals on the stratification dialog box. We'll right-click and close all databases. Next, we'll provide an analysis for the total cost of the obsolete inventory, identify old items for checking, and analyze the data by depot. So as a note, 6 to 12 months will be 50% for the obsolescence provision, and over 12 months will be 100%. We'll open and ensure that Inventory Usage Aging is selected as the active database. Double-click over the database window to load the Field Manipulation dialog box. Click Append to add the following virtual field. Field name, prov_rate. Field type, virtual numeric. Field length, do not enter. Decimals 2. And the description will be the rate at which provision is to be calculated. We will click in the parameter box to load the equation editor and enter the following equation. At if stratum is less than or equal to 1, 0, at if stratum equals 2, 50, 100. You can find this equation on page 212. Note that stratum 0 is lower limit exceptions, stratum 1 is less than 6 months, and stratum 2 is 6 to 12 months. This will help us to include the percentage provision for each age band, and calculate the provision cost for each band for each depot, and summarize to calculate the total provision for each depot. Once completed, click Validate and Exit, but do not click OK. We'll click Append to add the following virtual field. Field name, prov_AMT. Field type, virtual numeric. Field length, do not enter. Decimals 2, and the description will be provision amount. We'll click in the parameter cell to load the equation editor and enter the following equation. Double-click total cost, click the multiplication sign, double-click prov_rate, slash, and 100. Click Validate and Exit, returning to the Field Manipulation dialog box, and click OK. You can view the resultant fields by scrolling to the right of the display. These new fields are added to the end of the database. Note that the data in these fields is displayed in teal to distinguish them from the original imported fields. Next, we will calculate the total provision by depot. So ensure that Inventory Usage Aging is selected as the active database and the data property is selected in the Properties window. From the Analysis tab in the Categorize group, click Summarization. In the Fields to Summarize area, select Depot and Stratum. Note that no fields are selected in the numeric fields to total area. Select the total cost and prov_AMT fields to total these amounts in the summarized file. Select the Create Database option, but do not select the Create Result option. We'll leave the criteria box empty. In the field name field, enter Proposed Provision by Depot. Then click OK. View the resultant database and note the following fields: depot, stratum, number of records, total cost _sum, prov_AMT_sum. Notice that the number of records field is blue and underlined. This denotes an action field. You can click the values to see the underlying records. So there are 4 depots listed in this database. London was not an approved depot. These records should be investigated. Click Close. Note the London fields at the top. And we will flag the database to indicate that it contains significant findings. Currently it is situated 2 levels down in the tree view. To flag this file, highlight the database name and click the Flag File button on the File Explorer toolbar. After the database is flagged, it will have a new icon and be moved up in the tree hierarchy. A report of the proposed obsolescence provision should now be created. Produce a report of the results with subtotals for each depot. So from the File tab, click Print and then click Create Report. The report assistant will be displayed. Accept all options on the first step dialog box to create a horizontal report. Click Next. The Report Assistant heading step. Modify the following field names by highlighting the field name in the list box on the left and typing your changes in the text box on the bottom right. Total cost _sum modify to total cost. prov_AMT_sum modify to provision amount. Then click Next. The Report Assistant define break step. We'll enter the report breaks index as shown below, depot ascending, and stratum ascending. Then click Next. The report break step. We'll enter or select the following options: break key field depot, fields to total, number of records, total cost _sum, prov_AMT_sum. Specify a breaking space of 3 lines and click Next. Then the grand total step. In the fields to total list box, select the following fields: number of records, total cost _sum, prov_AMT_sum, then click Next. In the header footer step, do not print a cover page, click Finish. When prompted, preview the report created. And click Yes, zoom and navigate through the report. With this, we've shown you how to finish the report step on Section 4 Inventory Analysis. The next step will be completing a pivot table to help the client's provision for obsolete items. You will next test the accuracy of the automatic recording system and finish the rest of the inventory analysis. We want to thank you very much for joining us.